Hi and welcome to Slick Willy Fly, and what we're going to do today is a Craft Fur Baitfish. And the reason I'm doing this Craft Fur Baitfish is a few weeks ago, or a while ago, I made a video and I was talking about colors, and I made a Craft Fur Baitfish in that video to help me show how I like to blend my colors. I got some good feedback, and that feedback led me to this particular episode. So first question that I want to address. A lot of people ask me which craft fur I use. I normally don't talk brands, but I think that there is a huge quality difference in the different craft furs. And the craft fur that I like, that I use pretty regular, is this Hairline Extra Select. And for today, we're going to use black and white. I don't normally like to talk about brands because I'm not pushing brands. I'm not sponsored by them. That's just the craft fur that if I'm going to spend money, that's the craft fur that I like to get. So additionally, the only other thing I'm going to use a little bit of pink chenille. This one is actually called Fluoro Pink Cactus Chenille, 6mm. And I'm probably going to use a little bit of Flashabou Mirage Opal. So let's change the hook. So we're going to use this 1/0 salmon hook, and there's a reason I'm using this 1/0 salmon hook. It's a long hook, and this long hook is going to help me explain better how I put on the craft fur without it all fouling. So right now I'm going to quickly put on just a base of thread, 140 denier ultra black, and then I'm going to put a little bit of super glue on while we get everything prepared. And we could talk about how I keep this all from fouling. Just a tiny bit of super glue is plenty. I don't want these materials to spin. That's the whole reason for the super glue. And I wanted to have a chance to dry before I start attaching anything. Okay, so my philosophy is this. The way I keep my materials from fouling, and I'm going to talk as I prepare, is I use one clump on the back, just one clump of craft fur. I use one clump of craft fur on the back, and that clump, I make sure that when I attach it, I make sure that it goes around the hook. And right now I'm just preparing one clump of white craft fur. And then I put on, from that clump of craft fur that I use for the tail, I will wrap chenille on the body, and I will also attach my flash at that point, which you'll see because we're going to tie this fly. And then I reverse tie the front of the fly. I use black on top, white on bottom. So I end up doing 2 clumps of white and 1 clump of black. That will be the entire fly. And then and the pink chenille that I'm using, and you can use any color. You can use orange, pretty much anything you like. It will shine through when this fly is in the water. But what happens is that these clumps in this configuration that we're talking about will have a far less chance of fouling around the hook. If I was wanting to make a more full body, let's say for lack of a better word, fly, and I was going to add clumps of craft fur halfway to make a little bit more of a full body, then it would have a much bigger risk of fouling. In that scenario, what I like to do is I like to make the I'll make my tail same as before, and then the top will be almost as long as the tail, say about 75% the length of the tail, so you start getting that structure. The bottom I will make shorter, and by making the bottom shorter, it helps with the fouling. So I'm just now getting out my black. I'm going to get one little clump of black ready, and then we're going to switch the camera angle once I get this ready, and we will tie the fly. And I really hope that this answers the question on how I keep or minimize. I mean, the simple fact of the matter is craft fur, it's hard to keep craft fur from fouling. Craft fur almost, wants to foul, damn near. But this is about the best solution that I've been able to do to help reduce the fouling. Another thing that I do that's really kind of cheating is I like this. This is fin raccoon. When possible these days, I'm substituting fin raccoon for craft fur. It doesn't work in all my flies. Like, it's not really suitable for this fly that I'm about to tie. But the fin raccoon has a lot of the same kind of a feel, a lot of the same look, and it just doesn't foul as much as craft fur. So it's worth a try. Might work for you. So alright, I'm going to change the camera angle and let's tie a fly. Okay, so I'm back. So let's tie a fly. The hook is ready. I've pre-prepped all the craft fur to make this go kind of quick. So again, I said I'm going to use one clump for the tail, and I've decided to go with a white tail. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this at a length that I like, that's good right there. I'm going to trim this up a little bit. Don't want to make it too long, but that'll work right there. And like all my flies, I'm going to give this 2 loose wraps. And now I'm just going to make sure that I work it around the hook using my fingers. Unfortunately, my super glue wasn't exactly as dry as I would have liked, but that's alright. And now I'm just going to make sure that I lock this down. What happens if the super glue isn't completely dried is sometimes the craft fur will stick to your fingers and it can get messy. So you really want to give the glues a chance to dry. Okay, so now I'm just going to get a couple of strands of flash. 2 strands is plenty. They're long strands. So I'm going to fold them in half twice. I folded it in half. And now I'm folding it as close to in the middle as I can. I'm going to go ahead and put this on my thread. Then I'm going to take it all right to the top of the hook. And we're going to lock it in right at the top. And really, I don't want this super long, so I'm going to trim it just a hair short. And that's the first piece of flash we're going to put on. So now it's the chenille body. If I really wanted to make a fluffier, thicker fly, I would probably, at about the halfway point, I would add additional craft fur top and bottom. And what I was trying to explain to help avoid this from fouling is that my top section would be about that long, my bottom section would be about that long. And that would help make the body shape that I'm looking for, and would also help with fouling. But to really, just eliminate fouling as a possibility, we're going to put a piece of this fluorescent cactus chenille. And what is additionally pretty cool with this chenille is that it will, when this fly is in the water, it will shine through and just give this fly another feature, something more to help attract fish. So I'm just gonna, nothing special, nothing fancy, I'm just dubbing basically the body here with cactus chenille, and I'm gonna leave myself enough room, which is plenty right there, to do my reverse tie. Super simple. So the tail is done and the reverse, the body's done. Can trim that off. Alright, so I'm done with the chenille. So now you can either do the bottom or you can do the top first. I like to do the top first because I like to keep the bottom slightly shorter than the top. So by doing the top, I know my length. Length gets established. So I'm going to use the full length of this craft fur. I want this to stay right on top. I don't want this to move at all. So the way that I do that, I don't want it to blend at all with the white. So I'm going to go once around just the craft fur, and now around the craft fur and the hook. And what that does is it keeps the black on top. Perfect. And you don't need to trim that at all. It just won't be visible. Also helps fluff out the craft fur. So now the bottom, and again, you heard me say I want the bottom to be slightly shorter than the top. Couple of longs there, pull those out. I mean, best case scenario, that's it right there. That's perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and trim this up a little bit. It's a little longer than I want. Okay. So now my tie-in point is in the same exact spot, and the white will be a little bit shorter than the black. Just like that. That looks perfect. Okay, that's a little bit more than I would want, so I'm going to go ahead and trim that. Okay, beautiful. Alright, so now it's a matter of separating the white and the black best as you can. Sometimes it's very difficult to do. And once I have them somewhat separated, somewhere here I have a push tool. There it is. I have this little homemade push tool that helps me just push everything to the back, just like that. Oh, I started losing it. Just want to make sure that I have the coverage that I'm looking for, which it looks like I do. So I pull forward and I make the wall in front of the craft fur. So basically, for all the really technicals out there, the technical people, this is a hollow tie at this point. But I don't want to do a hollow tie because of the shape that I'm looking for. So I'm going to come over the craft fur right on the end there, just like that. And now this is a reverse tie, not a hollow tie. And before I make the knot, just going to make sure that I like where all the materials are sitting, which I think I do. And now I can make my whip finish. And you could fish this fly exactly the way it is, but you guys know I'm going to put some eyes on it. And I guess I forgot to show you the eyes. For eyes, I'm going to use 6mm red, not the fluorescent red that you saw on this fly. I love that. I think that looks awesome, that fluorescent red. But I'm not going to do that again. I'm going to use a little bit more traditional red eye. So, fly looks great. Super happy with the way that looks. It's got a little flash. It's got some nice body. Oops, the pink will definitely show through. I'm just going to trim up some of these crazy little fibers that are going the wrong way before I want to use any resin. A little bit better scissor. A little sharper point. Gets in these little tighter spots here. At the end, I'll use a lighter and singe off anything that's going the wrong way. But I think that came out great. Super simple tie, very few materials. Now I'm just going to put an eye right on that clump using the shank of the hook as a guide. I'll do the same on the opposite side, hoping the adhesive that naturally comes on the clump is enough. I'm sorry, on the eye is enough. Usually they are. I mean, I'm going to work quick here. So usually it's enough adhesion, I mean, on the back of the eye, but not always. If it's not, then I just put a little bit of super glue, and that usually works. Didn't like the position, so I'm just making some adjustments here. I'm starting to feel good about the position now. So I'm just going to use a little bit of UV resin to get between the eye and the craft fur. And all this does is it really just locks it in. Tiny bit more. Don't think I got that other eye as well as I wanted to. We're definitely going to do some singeing. I could see that already. One other step that I should have done. I'm going to take a marker and get in here. Get rid of some of this white. Don't want that white. Guess I'm going a little too quick on this fly. But it wasn't about all these little beauty tips. This fly was more about how to make a fly that won't foul. I still want it to look good. Who are we kidding? It's important for me that they look good. Now I'm going to switch to a thinner viscosity. You can see there, you can see right there, that pink is going to shine through. It's going to look great. It's going to be definitely a trigger point. So now, like all my others, just to make the eyes bulletproof, I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of resin on the eye, thinner viscosity, work it off the eye and onto the craft fur itself. And I'm going to use gravity and everything I can just to make this eye just look nice. Now we're going to do the same on the opposite side. Basically, these are done. And like every other fly I make where I use resin, this will sit in my windowsill and cure because I'm not in any rush. Unfortunately, it's winter and there's ice and snow everywhere. So right now I'm not really planning any fishing trips for the near future. Right now I'm getting my fishing fix, tying flies. Had a little spot there that looked a little hollow. So I just added a little bit more resin. Now I'm feeling very confident that this fly is bulletproof, and this fly won't foul. It's enough craft fur to definitely make this work and look the way you want it to work in the water, but it's strategically placed and thin enough that it's just not going to foul. It's going to work great. So yeah, I think it came out great. I'm going to change the camera angle, get a lighter, and show you my last trick. Alright, so we're back. So what I like to do when I have these kind of for everywhere, so I like to heat up a needle. I don't like to take the flame to the fly. It's risky business. I don't want to damage my fly, but this works great. I just take a needle, get in there and singe off anything that needs to be singed. Perfect, beautiful. And now she looks awesome. So yeah, that's it. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. Hope you're having a cocktail with me. And so on this particular fly, we talked about a little bit about what type of craft fur we like and how we stop the fly from fouling. And I mean, I promise, try this. It's going to work for you. It's also a good trick to keep the colors. You want the dark on top and the white on bottom. You don't want them to blend. That's that little wraparound. That's a great way to do that. So thanks again for watching. Don't forget Slick Willy is on Instagram. Look me up on Instagram. Having a great time doing this. And see you on the next video. Good luck catching.